What is up, guys? Roku here with some more League of Legends content, and today we got another nice video because I'll finally be making that ranged top laner guide video. Yes, this video is a guide on how you should be fighting ranged top laners, so, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because, this video is gonna be a very, very sick one. I have not forgotten about the Wild Rift guide video, but the issue with that is that I've actually been banned from Wild Rift because I went AFK because I had to go. So yeah, I have to wait until my unban in order to record, which is like later today. So it should be no issue. Anyway, I have Morgana bot here acting as a substitute for the ranged top laner. So let's just get right into the guide. Like, comment, subscribe, and etc. Anyway, so the main idea when fighting against ranged top laners is to understand what their range is, right? You get how, like, when Morgana walks towards me, I just walk back, right? Because if I go for, like, CS, and I'm in her range, she's gonna put this thing on me, she's gonna hit me with her ability, she's gonna stun me, right? And this is the case for every single ranged top laner. When you get into a ranged top laner, and you go for CS, they're just gonna like chunk you out and they're gonna combo you, right? Like you're gonna lose HP for CSing, right? So if I go up, she's trying to hit me, right? Every time I'm gonna go for CS, right? She's gonna try to use her abilities on me. And though this spot isn't exactly the best at representing this, she does kind of show us, like, like as you can see, I'm trying to get the CS. She uses her abilities on me, and like I just have to show you that. That's the general idea, Think of this, right? Your health is a resource, right? You have many resources, right? Your gold, and think of your HP as gold. Now, a health potion is like worth gold, and it's HP that's worth gold, right? So a health potion does 150 health per 50 gold, right? Let's just look in the shop here. Look, 50 gold for 150 health. And let's say I go up to CS, and I lose 200 health. I got 20 gold from one CS, but I lost 200 health. Was that CS worth it? No. Right? It was not worth it. And, like, you have to understand that your health is more important than a CS if it's a risky CS, right? Like, I didn't even walk close to get that, and she used that, like, that pool on me, So it's like, now that it's down, now that her abilities is down, I can go for, like, some CSs. But the second it's back up, I gotta, go back, play back. You get the idea, right? And it's like, it's a very, very important idea to make sure that you have high HP on Darius because of one simple thing. Darius can beat almost anyone in an all-in if you play it correctly, right? So let's just see that, like, I'm playing against a Vayne top, and I'm able to pull her once, right? But I have only 400 HP because I kept trying to CS and I kept losing my health. Will I be able to kill her? No. She has way more health than me, and she's basically just going to kill me in the all-in if I go for it. However, if I, instead of, like, going for every CS when, like, the enemy is around, like, just play a bit safe, lose some CS, you are going to have low CS against the ranged top laner, but, you will have high HP, and then you get a pull, right? Like, now I'm high HP, but, I can just go for an all-in. Like, obviously it's not going to go like that. Normal players are going to be way more intelligent. But, like, you kind of get the idea, right? You don't want to do stupid things. Because, like, you need your health later in lane. You need your health when you're going to go for that all-in, Because, like, it's like the simplest thing there is. In, like, all these, like, elite culture, I guess, we're always like, oh, you got bad CS, bro, you got bad CS. But, like, if you actually look at some high elo games, having good CS into certain matchups is impossible. You're not gonna have good CS into Vayne top. You're not gonna have good CS into ranged top laners. You're not even gonna have good CS versus, like, a lot of bad melee matchups, right? Dude, this motherfucker. But yeah, like, you kind of get the idea. Like, don't like model your whole gameplay around having, you know, good CS. Model it around being able to play the game. And so that is basically like the very basics of playing the lane versus a ranged top laner, right? Those are the very basics of it, right? So to recap, don't go like try to understand like the range of a ranged top laner, right? Just try to understand their overall range, right? So for a Vayne, right, her range isn't her auto attack range. Her range is her tumble plus her auto attack range. That's her total. I call it her total area of influence, right? This is like the area when if you're in it, you can possibly take damage, right? Try to learn the area of influence for all the common top laners, right? So let's say Cassiopeia, right? The Cassiopeia's area of influence is the max range of her E. Because like she has no mobility, but if she hits you with that E, you are toast, right? If she hits you with that E, her range of influence suddenly becomes bigger because she gets more movement speed, so she can just walk up and mess you up, right? Like, it's different for every single champion. And I'm going to use this latter portion of the video in order to basically talk about like how to fight some of these more popular ranged top laners, right? I'm going to go specific into some of these matchups. So, like, I'm not sure if I'll timestamp this because, like, there's a lot I'm going to be doing. But, you know, let me just clear this. Actually, I'm just going to play mid lane because I don't need her anymore. Right? I'll just use top lane as an example because we don't need the Morgana to prove the point anymore, right? So, yeah. I'm going to go through all the ranged top laners that I think are important to know how to play against. And, yeah, let's just get right into it. And the first and the most dangerous ranged top laner that I'm going to get into, well, one of the most dangerous, is Vayne. Vayne top is like known to be one of the most like disgusting ranged top laners for Darius players and for ranged top lane. I mean, and for other melee top laners in general to deal with, right? She has a lot of damage, a lot of mobility. She doesn't have high range early, but she has a lot of mobility and self-peel, so you can almost never catch her, right? So it's almost like always going to be like a bloodbath when a Vayne top laner is involved. And like, you know, though it does kind of sound impossible to beat Vayne top, it's actually not that hard compared to some other ranged top laners. Because a Vayne top lane is a very like it's a very one-dimensional up until we get Stridebreaker, right? Because if you can get, it depends on how good the ranged top laner is. Because if she's bad and you can pull her, she's free, right? She's free to kill. But if she's good at kiting, then you're gonna have to wait until Stridebreaker before you can do anything. But you can't just rush Stridebreaker. Let me just why is this dummy leveling up? I'll just take him out. And also take out the minions because they're distracting me. Anyway, so the key to like playing out a Vayne lane is understanding power spikes. Now, what are power spikes? Power spikes are basically moments in the game where your champion is way stronger from before, right? So let's say and this can be caused by anything. So let's say it's level 1 for Darius, and Darius's big power spike comes in level 3 because level 3 he has his E, he has his Q, and he has his W, which puts him into a position where he can all in like most champions in the game. Now, keep in mind, if you took a ton of like poke or bad trades in level 1 and 2, then you can't make use of your level 3 power spike. You know, you have to make sure that you're healthy through level 1 and 2, so that level 3 you can start looking for all-ins and really just, you know, looking for kills in lane. You know, that's one of Darius's big power spikes. Level 6, when we get our ultimate, a big Darius power spike. Level 11, level 16, you know? And a lot of big power spikes come through items. Against a Vayne lane, the biggest power spike is Ninja Tabi or plated steel caps. This item really like ruins a Vayne top laner's game because what it basically does is it reduces their auto attack damage so much that she basically deals like 50 damage in auto, right? Her only real source of damage is the true damage, and that only comes after she hits you 3 times, which, you know, it takes a while, you know? So like Ninja Tabi is a must for a Vayne top lane, and for pretty much every single like auto-attacking melee top laner that's AD, you know. It's very, very, very important, this item. And in a lot of these matchups, it's like Kled, Rankin, etc. You're gonna be building this item first, and there's no exception of it against a Vayne top laner, right? With this item, if you can catch a Vayne, you will beat her in an all-in. So, like, if you are not able to catch her in lane at level 3, and kill her at level 3, because Darius beats Vayne at level 3 too, if you're both the max HP, then play safe, get the safe CS. Remember how I showed you, right? The risky CS, you are gonna, if you get the risky CS, you're going to, you know, ruin your game and lose your HPs because you can't all-in them anymore. But if you go for the safe CS, it's safe CS, you know, it's like, it's basically CS that's outside the ranged top laner's range of influence, you know? So just go for your safe CSs, get as much CS as you can, and go back, get your items, come back to lane, and dominate, you know? So yeah, get your CS, farm up, get your Ninja Tabis, and boom. Vayne can suddenly do nothing against you. So if you just have the lane around here, pop Ghost, and just, like, you know, run at her, you're gonna probably end out ahead. There are a few things to keep in mind when fighting like a ranged lane though. Like I went fighting Vayne specifically. Never get condemned into a wall. Try to understand that, like, you know, when you're fighting enemy champions, you have to understand what these champions want. What do they want to do? Irelia. What does Irelia want to do? Irelia wants to Q2 low HP minions as much as possible. Right? She wants to land her stun on you, she wants to land her ult on you, and she wants to Q2 low HP minions. Now that you know what Irelia wants, you can predict what she's gonna do, and you can counter this. You know where she's gonna go, right? So you can just move accordingly. Same for Vayne. Let's say I pull a Vayne here, right? I pull Vayne here, and I'm fighting her. What does this Vayne want to do? She wants to use her E to condemn me into this wall. It's the closest wall as the easiest. So she's gonna tumble here, either by default or using her invisibility, like you know, condemn me into this wall, her E, keep me stunned, and then she's gonna just auto attack. Half my HP is gone, and when this happens, it's very likely that you've already lost the fight, because like if the Vayne players love going Bork, and with Bork, condemn her Q invisibility, it's very difficult to catch a Vayne. So yeah, try to like understand what she wants. Now that I understand she wants to do like condemn here and stun me into the wall, instead of just staying here, right, for my RWQ, I can just do my RWQ, but instead of just staying in a place that's easily condemnable, I can just like move where I think she's gonna go, right? I can just move in a way that she can't like condemn me into the wall. It's kind of like how you play versus Singed. When you're chasing a Singed, he's going to want to like walk behind you and flip you back towards your side of the wave, because when it's like that, he can just walk away for free. So when you're chasing a Singed, you don't want to let him get behind you. You just want to like have him be in front of you, but right in front of you. And they're gonna like want to walk behind you, so you can just walk back with them, and they've basically just ruined their own game. Same for Vayne. You gotta understand what she wants to do and predict her movement, and then you move in accordance, you know? So that's kind of like how you fight Vayne. A big trick with Vayne is to like understand which like different Vayne players tumble or dash, her Q thing, you know, her dash. Different Vayne players dash and condemn at different times. So let's say there's a Vayne player, I touch my mic, that dashes away the second you get into E range. So like you kind of understand that like get into E range, like you know, bait her tumble and then try to go for an all-in or something. Like it's all very complicated. What you can do with this concept, it's like a fighting game thing where you make your enemy get used to like one kind of thing and then you punish them. But I won't really get into it too much because it's way too complicated for this video. I gotta go through many ranged top players. So for the sake of this video, just pull her, Ghost, murder her, and you should be good to go. And Strybreaker makes this even easier, because with Strybreaker, you can Strybreaker in, and Ghost, she's slowed, you're fast, and she's gonna have to use Condemned. And without Condemned, you can just walk up to her, pull her, and one-shot her. One big tip is to buy the sweeper against Vayne. You know, it's very, very important versus Vayne, because if you let her, like, you know, kite you during her invisibility, then there's a very good chance that you can get outplayed, because there are some really good Vayne players there, and by giving them time to live, you're giving them time to outplay you. So get Oracle Lens, track her movement in Invis, and destroy her. That is my explanation for how you should be fighting a Vayne top laner. And let's just get into the other annoying range top laner that's quite popular, that I don't really have, like, I don't really care about this matchup too much, but people have big problems against this matchup. So, oh, by the way, in terms of rune choice, I forgot about this. My camera is blocking it right now, but I've gone, let me just move my camera. I'll just turn it off for a second. As you can see, I'm going Conquer and like the sorcery tree, right? That is because with sorcery, you have the move speed to like actually kill range top laners like way more often. But if you're a person who's like not like, okay, there are two playstyles. Sorcery is if you want to kill your range top laner and get ahead, and Resolve is if you want to be a bit more safe. You know, if you aren't smurfing, if you aren't too good mechanically, if you're new to Darius, go sorcery and get Second Wind, right? Because Second Wind combined with D-Shield into a range top laner is actually very, very powerful. You barely take any damage, right? I mean, you still do take damage, but like you can go for some CS now, even like the risky CS, and because the D-Shield and Second Wind will heal you back so much. So yeah. Now let's get into our other matchup that I'm going to talk about, Teemo, right? Teemo is like, by the way, this is about good Teemo players. There's a very big misconception like that a lot of Darius players have, which is that like they think that Teemo is not a difficult matchup because they keep killing Teemos, but this is only because most Teemos in low elo are horrible, horrible, horrible players. They do not know how to kite on Teemo. They don't know how to play Teemo. They don't know how to poke. They don't know how to do anything. The good Teemo players who do kite properly, who poke you with Q, who like, you know, who don't let you CS, who hit you when you CS, not like when you're doing anything so you can't even catch them. These are the Teemos that you gotta be worried about, right? Now, with Teemo, it's basically the same as Vayne top, but Teemo has way higher range than Vayne, you know, and he doesn't have to tumble in and risk himself to get messed up in a fight. So in order to fight Teemo, you have to get out of his range, obviously, know his range, which is like his auto attack and his Q range. So we'll try to know those ranges and try to get out of them. But the thing about Teemo is that once you pull Teemo, he's free to kill. You know, once you pull a Teemo, he's pretty much free food. So try to like, you know, try to just murder him. Like try to get a pull on him with your ghost, because with your ghost you can force like a fight on him and then try to murder him. A very good item that you can get into Teemo. There's a lot of great items you can get into Teemo, right? Merc Treads is the go-to item if you pull the Teemo a lot, if you fight the Teemo a lot, but like you just need a bit more help. If you're aggressive in lane, go Mercury Treads. If you are, let's say, not doing so well, but you still want to all-in, then go Negatron Cloak. But if you're like, you know, in a really bad spot and you just have to survive, go Spectre's Cowl. Because this item is basically like your cure to surviving a ranged top laner poke if they're AP, right? This item is great against Cassiopeia and Teemo, and it's great against Teemo too. So those are the three items you can go, but try not to die too much, because Stridebreaker is a very important purchase into Teemo, because Teemo has no mobility, right? Teemo has no mobility, so Stridebreaker lets us get guaranteed pulls on him every single time, right? So Stridebreaker is very important. One big tip when all-in a Teemo is to be aware of his blind, right? Ideally, what a Teemo wants is to blind you so that when you do auto W, he basically dodges you both your auto W because they would blind. Whenever you are blind, like let's say I'm doing RW, I pull him, he blinds me, and instead of auto attacking him, I just press Q, right? His blind does not block Q, so during the blind, just make sure to run around and get a better position. Like let's say he's running towards this, like this turret, right? And I Q'd him and he blinded me. Instead of just standing right here and auto-attacking him with autos that will never hit him, move in front of him or something, right? Just make sure that your positioning is better so that when the blind is over, you can start killing him, right? One big part about fighting Teemo lane is the shrooms. it's very easy like to avoid shrooms, but like you basically can never autopilot against a Teemo player, because if you autopilot, you're gonna eat shrooms, and eating a shroom basically makes Teemo come towards you and Q you, auto you, and mess you up, because you no longer can run after them because you're slowed, right? Never. Tip number one: if you don't have sweeper, never walk in the same line as the Teemo. This is a big tip. A lot of Teemo players like to do this, where they leave shrooms and they walk over their shrooms, so that when you walk behind them, you get hit by them. Never walk in the same line as a Teemo. Like, let's say he's going here. Instead of walking behind him, I'm going to go around like this, right? Try to understand, like, the angles that it works with. If you see a Teemo put a shroom down, memorize the position of that shroom. Ping it to your team, right? If you see Teemo, like, put a shroom here, ping it to your jungler, right? This is the vision ping. You can see how to set it in my league settings guide. I'll put a card in it on the video. But yeah, make sure like to have that ping to ping the shrooms, etc, etc, etc. The sweeper is also useful if he's invisible in like bushes or something. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it for the Teemo matchup, to be honest. The big thing about Teemo matchup is just making sure that you don't lose a lot of HP, because Teemo, like poison plus ignite, and a lot of good Teemo players will take ignite, is very deadly, right? So you don't want to be like testing him and taking a lot of like bad CS. Teemo is one of those lanes where going for the bad CS is way worse than some other lanes. So never like, if he's teleport, then it's possible to do some stupid things, but if he's going ignite, don't even give him the chance, right? Like, play safe, be patient, and the second the situation comes, pull him and just murder him, kill the rat. And yeah, I think the next matchup I'm going to go into is Cassiopeia. Now that we're in the AP territory. Cassiopeia is one of my least favorite matchups in the game to fight against, because she's very anti-Darius. Strikebreaker helps us a lot in dealing with her, but she's still very like hard to deal with. Now, the big idea when it comes to beating Cassiopeia is to never let her land her E. Always dodge the E. Her E is basically like, if she hits this, she will beat you in all-ins. Yes, a no-item Cassiopeia who lands her E's will beat like a full HP Darius. That's the truth. Now, how can you dodge the E? Now, dodging is like, it's one of those skills, you can just get better at it, and Ghost helps you dodge way better. But one key idea is to understand that a lot of champions, a lot of players, will use their abilities on you when you're auto-attacking, right? Let's say you're auto-attacking, Cassiopeia puts her E on me, right? And instead of just sitting here and take the auto-attack, you can just cancel your own auto-attack and walk out of it. Let's say this is Cassio, I auto-attack her, and during my auto-attack, she puts her like E, like a noxious blast or whatever. Instead of just finishing my auto attack, I just started to bait her E, right? And I just walk out of it, or walk towards her, whatever, right? Just bait the thing and then walk towards her. This is way harder to do if she has her, I don't know, miasma on you. And when she has her miasma on you, just try to juke and just try to get out of it, because like, miasma is one of the most like least counterplay abilities in the game. It really just ruins your game. So just try to walk out of it and try to make sure you fight her outside of it, because one big thing with Cassiopeia is that Darius cannot ult in Cassio miasma, right? If you're in that, you can't ult because his ult is technically a mobility spell, right? Like, Darius moves when you ult. And when you're grounded, you can't ult anymore, which is really bad. So keep up an eye out on that. Don't fight her in her miasma, and it also slows you, which lets her basically land more ease on you, right? Try to understand how she fights so you can dodge the R, but it's not that bad if you get messed up. One big thing with the Cassiopeia lane is that once you get Strikebreaker, it's not that bad. It gets way better once you get Strikebreaker. So you can go Merc Boots, Negatron Cloak, and at this point, she shouldn't be able to kill you. But if you're very aggressive, just go Merc Boots and then go for Strikebreaker. Because there's a secret trick. You can Strikebreak out of her miasma, right? If she has her miasma on you and she puts her E on you, Strikebreak out of it. You slow her, you dodge the thing, and you can also use that to combo into your other abilities. So the key to beating Cassiopeia lane is dodging her E's if you want to be aggressive and all-in her, but if you can't do that, wait for Strikebreaker and then all-in her and one-shot her. With some of these ranged top laners like Cassio and Vayne, they do outscale you outside of lane, but the thing is, like, once you win lane against some of these champions, you should be able to just carry the game. And honestly, if you've not carried the game at that point, if you're not carried until the point the Vayne or the Cassiopeia like outscale you, then it's either that your team were completely horrible or you were very, very bad at, you know, transferring your lead. So don't try to play for late game on Darius. Anyway, that's basically the Cassiopeia lane. Not a lot you can do aside from, you know, it's basically a skill lane, right? If she can hit her E's, it's like, you know, hard, but if she can't, it's very, very easy. Our next matchup I'm going to talk about is Lucian. Lucian is basically Vayne, but he can't get away from you as easily as Vayne, but he does way, way more damage, and he's way more dangerous if he's fed than Vayne, right? Because with Vayne, if you see her, she's kind of dead, but with Lucian, it's like he's not more slippery than Vayne. He does way more damage than Vayne and has more range. So a Lucian can 1v9 a game if you feed him, so don't feed him, right? Now, against the Lucian, you have to do the same things you did with Vayne, which is like take the same runes, build the same items, Ninja Tabi, or plated steel caps, and try not to, like, with Lucian, he has his like let's say like these are minions, right? I have my allied teammates. Let's say this is a minion. Lucian has an ability where if he targets a minion, he shoots out like a blast, you know, like a laser. What you want to do is make sure that you're never in a line between, like with Lucian, there's never like a minion toward, like between you two, right? So let's say I'm here, I'm safe from that laser ability because there's no minion between us. But if I'm here, I'm at the risk of getting hit by that because you could just move here and use it. And that ability has very, very high range. So you either want to stay out of his range or position in a way where he can't use it. And because there are a lot of minions, he probably can, so just stay out of his range, right? With Lucian, like, you don't want to take bad trades. Because against Vayne, if you have Ninja Tabi, you can still kill her if you have 60% of your HP, but this is not the case with Lucian. If he takes Ignite, which a lot of them will, then you're not going to be able to do too much against him in an all-in, so don't take bad trades. On the bright side, if you're both high HP on Lucian, if you just ghost on him and use everything you have on him, he is pretty much dead. The weakness of Lucian is that though he's way more oppressive in lane, he's kind of worse in all-ins against Darius specifically, because he doesn't have any way to protect himself, other than his own dash. So as long as you're in his face, and you force him to fight you with your ghost, your pull, your W, your Q, he's dead. If you land your E on him, he is completely dead, right? There's not much he can even do, right? Unless you kind of kite yourself by moving away from him with your Q or something. But yeah. With Lucian, try to see if you can pull him. If you can't, wait for Tabi, see if you can pull him. If you can't, wait for Strikebreaker and just murder him. He's free in like an all-in against Darius. It's just that you can't make mistakes against him. In terms of, like, you know, by the way, against all these range matchups, just go D-Shield. D-Shield is the go-to. Anyway, let's talk about Quinn. Quinn is, it's basically like, I'm comparing all of these to Vayne because, you know, they're basically like, you know, they are basically all just versions of Vayne because she's basically one of the worst ADC top laners to fight against. So yeah, Quinn is actually not as bad as Vayne. You know, early levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4, Quinn is worse than Vayne. But level 6 on, Quinn is just a free kill, right? Here's the problem though. Quinn players will poke you down in lane, will get CS, and the second level 6 hits, they're just gonna roam. They're not gonna stay in your lane at all. So the basic idea against Quinn is to make sure that you manipulate the lane in a way, post level 6, where she doesn't actually, like, by roaming, she actually loses things, right? So ping your team when she's missing, right? And manipulate, like, either perma-freeze or shove the lane, make sure she's losing CS when she's going on, like, a roaming, right? But that's some wave management thing. Against Quinn, you basically have to, like, once you get a pull on Quinn, you can just do your combo RWQ, but make sure you don't actually Q the Quinn, okay? Because what happens when you RWQ after a pull is when you're about to hit your Q, she does her headbutt, which is she hits you and then knocks herself back. And this is really, really bad because she basically puts you in her like range, her on attack range, and you're slow, so you can't even catch up to her. So the basic idea is to do E, auto W, and then chase her if you have Ghost. If you don't have Ghost, right? Let's say, let me just remove the ally menu. I pull her here. If you don't have Ghost, don't do an auto attack. Pull her and then walk behind her. So that if she does her headbutt, she does it towards like your side of the lane, right? So I do E, and now if she headbutts towards the wall. So like she can't even run away that much. You kind of want to like understand what her headbutt does and position in a way where you're okay with being headbutted, right? I'm not even sure if it's headbutt, whatever, right? Just make sure that you're in like a place where if you're headbutted when you're here, she just gets away. Here, it's okay, right? Here, it's okay, because if you have Ghost, you can just catch up to her. Make sure that you don't like, Q too fast, right? Because don't use your Q after a headbutt is what I mean. Because if you do, she can pretty much like dodge it, and then you don't have a Q. And against a lot of these matchups where they have Ignite, landing your Q is very, very important. On the bright side, once you get like Ninja Tabis, the Quinn can't really do too much against us. She just becomes like, she does no damage, and she has no thing like 2 damage or any special thing, so she just ends up not doing too much against us, right? She's all auto attack damage, and she has no good, like, not like no risky sort of auto attack enhancers like Vayne's true damage. That's Quinn basically. Let's see here. One matchup that I really wanted to get into, actually, that I don't know how anyone can actually struggle with this matchup, if I can just find it. Kennen. Yeah. Kennen is probably the only ranged top laner in the game where you can actually pull up the CS because he does no damage. Kennen does no damage in lane. So, like, as Darius, if you can just pull Kennen, he's pretty much dead. Against Kennen, you rush Merc Treads and you go full like Strikebreaker. You don't even have to care about building against him. He's very, very easy. The basic idea is to not take too much poke, because what he's very good at is like keeping you in your place so that he can poke you more. So don't take too much poke. But aside from that, if you can just pull a Kennen and you have Ghost up, and it's around this part of the lane, you can just kill him. And if he has Phase Rush, then it's fine, because Strikebreaker makes this lane even better for us. One big thing that you can do is when he's about to use his like electric form to run through you, stun you, and then Phase Rush away, do your W so that it like hits him when you're stunned. You can also do this with your E, right? Try to like time your slows when he's about to stun you so that he can't really move too much during the stun, and you can just kill him with your Ghost or whatever, right? Kennen is not very difficult. Gnar is a matchup a lot of people are struggling with, and if both players are playing the Gnar matchup correctly, then it's basically an even farm lane, right? The Gnar matchup isn't really that what's the word for it? Volatile, I guess, because Gnar doesn't have that good of a range, right? His range isn't that high, and his poke isn't that great unless he hits you with his like 3 auto attacks, 3 attacks. And though those things aren't that great on him, he's also very slippery, so it's hard to catch him. So it's like this combination of him not doing too much and you not being able to catch him that makes this lane very boring if both players are amazing. But both players won't be amazing. We're hoping that you'll be great and Gnar will be horrible. So how do we beat Gnar? The basic idea against the Gnar lane is that like you have to be aware of how strong Mega Gnar is, right? When you're fighting him, right, and you're both low HP, you probably shouldn't fight, because when Gnar gets into Mega Gnar, he has so much CC that he can basically do your whole health HP bar while you are stunned. So when you're low HP, and the Gnar is also low HP, and he is in his mega form, then you're not gonna win the fight. But if he's in his mini form, then he's the freest kill in existence, right? Just ghost up on him, run him down, and murder him. One big trick that you have to know against like small Gnar is that he likes to jump on you, right? Like, you know, have that jump ability. If he jumps on a unit, he jumps twice the range, which is like horrible because he can just get to like his turret from like the middle of the lane from just that jump. It really depends on how you started the fight, but the basic idea is this, right? If you started the fight with W and you can ghost past him, right? Let's say he kind of got on my melee range, like he's walking towards me to auto attack me, and then let's wait for the ghost runner. Let's say he's walking towards me to auto attack me, and I'm walking back, and then I ghost towards him, right? Now, when I'm behind him, what he's going to want to do is jump on me, and then like get ahead of me, right? And we're predicting this, remember? So when he starts to jump, just do E like that, right? Jump where he's gonna land, and you're gonna pull him out of the air, and it works guaranteed, right? The second he starts jumping, E like that way, you know? And this gets you so many hilarious kills. Like, Gnar is just a free matchup for Darius if you know how to do this thing, right? Now, sometimes you're going to need to start your fights using your E, right? When this is the case, try to use your ghost to, like, fight. Don't, like, stand directly in front of him, between him and safety, because then he can jump on you, and we have no E to stop it this time. Stand, like, kite, like, around here, right? Like, stand, like, a bit, like here-ish, right? Not directly towards safety, but if he jumps on you, then he's basically duping himself, right? Same concept with a Quinn. You want to know what he wants to do, predict it, and, you know, adjust your gameplay accordingly. The thing with Gnar is that Stridebreaker makes the lane very easy for you to get kills in, but they also build Stridebreaker, so, like, we don't really get much kills in this lane after laning phase, you know, late into the laning phase, because Gnar is hard to catch, and we can't really catch him without wasting everything, so it's actually better to just play for team fights and play with your team, rather than focus your efforts on Gnar. This is the case for all matchups, by the way. It's better to just fight the enemy team than one enemy champion, but you really want to just, like, what's his face? You want to understand that, like, there's a point where killing Gnar is no longer worth it. Okay, let's get into Vladimir. Okay. Vladimir is a very boring matchup that's it's just so boring. I don't know what other word to say for it. It's so boring, but it's kind of playable. Against a Vlad matchup, you don't want to take bad trades, right? Treat him like a ranged top laner. Don't take bad trades against him, because if you take bad trades against Vladimir, he has so much sustain where you have no sustain, you know? So if you take a bad trade against him, he's going to heal to full with his Q, and you're going to stay at that low HP. So don't take bad trade against Vladimir. On the bright side, the Vladimir lane, like, in all-ins, you can pretty much kill him. It's just that his pool plus phase rush makes it hard to catch him. But as long as you use your ghost and flash properly, you can run him down, right? He's not very threatening in all-ins. He's just annoying to lane against. So you have to basically not take too much poke. And in all-ins, you have to make sure to not use Q before his pool, right? Let's say RW. If you Q, he's gonna pool, and he's gonna E, pool, and get away from you, because that's gonna proc his phase rush. So instead of doing that, do RW, and then ghost, like, around him in front of him, right? Like, coming back to auto attack him, just keep auto attacking him. And honestly, you don't need your Q to kill Vladimir. Like, you don't need your Q to kill Vladimir. You can just auto attack him to death. So if he's laning to just get free auto attacks on him, just do it, kill him. Let's say he pools, flashes, Q, flash, R, kill him, right? You only Q after he uses his pool, right? Because if he uses his pool, then he no longer has a way to dodge your Q. So yeah, only Q after he pools, and yeah, you should be good to go. D-Shield is a must. I love going Nimbus Cloak against Vladimir. It helps, it makes all-ins actually possible, because usually he has more moves than us. And one thing that's very important to go is Executioners, if I can find it here. Yeah, Executioners. They nerfed Chempluck Chainsword, so it's not that worth it, right? The stats on it are kind of bad now, but Executioner's Calling is a great item to just have in your inventory. So against Vladimir, the ideal buy is Boots, Executioner Calling, some MR or some HP, and then into Strikebreaker, right? That's basically the ideal, like, first, second back against Vladimir. Strikebreaker also helps makes this lane very, like possible to fight. But remember that when you strike break, like, you know, strike break into W or something, right? Because, like, strike break basically lets you not waste your E. So if you strike break into W, then he's gonna have to use his pool. And then you have both your E and your Q to use after he uses his pool. But that's only post strike breaker. So yeah. Before strike breaker, worst case scenario, it's an even lane, boring farm lane. And on the bright side, until like mid-late game-ish, you're way more useful than Vladimir in teamfights. So just crush those teamfights and have him watch you show him what a better top laner is supposed to play like. Let me see if I have any more ranged top laners left. I don't really have any more popular ranged top laners that I can cover. So I'm just gonna stop the video right there. This is pretty much it for this ranged top laner guide. I will leave my Darius guide link in the description, which contains all of like these matchups, by the way. Like in that Darius guide, I have paragraphs on how to fight every single one of these champions and even more. So go check out my guide, link in the description. And yeah, I think that should be pretty much it for this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the guide for more information. Thank you very much for watching. I'll timestamp this so it's more usable, but this is pretty much it for this video. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Hopefully the Wild Rift video, but we'll see when I get that out. It should be later this week. But yeah, anyway, see you boys.